Hey guys, Willis here, and we're gonna get into another great song today. This time, the song July by the band Katatonia, and it's coming at you right now.
Okay, so for this one, you're going to want to tune your guitars down to C standard,
I've got the tuning down below there for you. Take a moment and pause the video if you need to tune your guitars, and we'll get started. Alright, so we're going to go over the intro, first part of the song, to July by Katatonia. And really it's just kind of going back and forth a couple of different chords. So let me show you how this goes. So pretty much what we're doing is we're going to start with just that open E string. We're going to be doing some alternate up and down picking on that, just like this. The next thing that comes in, you can see that my fingers are kind of already in place, but what we're going to do is we're going to put our first finger on the 7th fret of the A string. Then we have our, third finger and fourth finger on the 9th fret of the D and G string. Lastly, our second finger on the 8th fret of the B string, and leave the last string open. So that's what we get when we play all of them together. So here's what we're going to do. This is how we get this sound of the song. So we're going to go like this. So just starting with that open string and then raking across the remaining 5 strings. Alright, so the next part of this intro, we have the second chord I was talking about. So what we're going to do is place our first finger on the 5th fret this time. And what you're going to do is actually you're going to bar that from the 5th string all the way down to the 1st string. Then what you're going to do is you're going to, again, take your ring and pinky finger, 3rd and 4th finger, on the D and G string, both on the 7th fret. Now, what we're going to do here, it's not like we're going to bar this the entire time, but we're going to do some kind of selective picking here. So we're going to start with actually more of like a power chord kind of thing. So we're going to go like, so it's like, now once we do that, then we're going to add in the rest of the notes that we have. So we go like that. We'll do it again. And that is the second chord. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go back and forth between the first one and the second one. So it should go like this. And back. Alright, so after we have done all that, at the very end of the intro, right before it kind of kicks in a bit more, is we have this kind of dissonant chord kind of thing happening, both on the 11th fret of the G string, which the pinky is on, and the 8th fret of the B string. So we're doing that right there. So it's just kind of an alternate pattern of just going. So played up to speed, it would be. And that's all there is to it. And that really just carries into the continued main riff as the distortion kicks in and the drums come in, all that. And that really completes the intro as a whole. Okay, so that is the riff to the verse riff to the song. This is a little bit difficult. There is some alternating things going on here, like between open notes and muted notes. So let's get into this. So we have the 10th fret starting there. On all this is happening on the E string, the 6th string. So we go. That's the first half. So from the 10th fret to the 8th fret. All right, and then after that we go. So there we had the, I'm sorry. And then right back to how we started. Just like that. So that might take a little bit of practice if you've never played that part before. There is a rhythm to it. If you listen to it long enough, if you listen to it and play it, you can hear that rhythm that repeats over and over in that part. Okay, so here is the second half of that verse riff. What's going to be different with this one is instead of playing single notes like we just did a minute ago, everything in this part is pretty much based off of power chords. So starting on that same fret as you did before with your first finger, you're now going to add your other finger, your third finger, on the 12th fret, making that power chord shape. And what we're going to be doing is just kind of moving this around with some pedal tones of some chugging or the muting of the open E string in between. So this is what it looks like as we go. Okay, so that is how we play it. So it's just like as before pretty much with our first finger moving around. But what's different now is that we have two fingers to keep an eye on as we play. All right, so what we're going to do is just kind of go through this again just a little bit, because there are some little differences and variations when adding these power chords in. So we start off the same way. So we go. Now you notice what I did there. I did a little bit of a slide with a, and then we have some more chugging on that open E string. That's pretty much just kind of like a little variation to keep the riff interesting, the way they wrote that. And then that just kind of continues on as we end it, and you kind of find yourself back to the familiar right before going into the intro riff, which is actually the chorus riff as well. So you've already killed two birds with one stone there. But yeah, so that is how you play the verse portion of the song. All right, so now we come to the bridge section part of the song. Really what we're going to be starting off with is just a open E power chord down here. So we got the open E string, first and second fingers on the second fret, just like that. So what we're going to be doing here in this section is pretty much where we're just going to be going like this, how the song goes. Just letting that last strum ring out just a little bit longer. The next section is, again, another power chord. This is going to be more of a palm muting thing, and it's got kind of a cool rhythm to it. So what we're going to do is we got our first finger on the second fret of the E string, and our other two fingers, our third and fourth fingers, on the fourth fret of the A and D string. And we're just going to play this chord here, but we're going to add a rhythm to this while we're palm muting, and this is how it goes. Let me slow that down a little bit. just like that. And that pretty much kind of goes over a few times. So just kind of going. Just like that. The next section, this is where some of the different type chords come in. But the first thing we're going to do is just go back to this first chord we did before. This one. And here what we're going to do is we're going to go something like this. This is the leading into the next part of the bridge. So we go palm mute. Whoops. Just open like that. We'll do it again. Now we're going to let that ring for a minute. This will bring us to our next chord. And what we're going to do is we're going to come up to the 4th fret. We're going to bar that, just the first couple strings, actually the 6th and the 5th string here. And then our other 2 fingers, again, our ring finger and pinky, are coming up here. And we're just going to go like this. Sorry, this. So just kind of getting that thick, meaty power chord sound. And we're just letting that ring out. The next chord we go to is down here. We're going to be on the 2nd and 3rd frets here. So we have our first finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the A, and the 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the B string. And what we're going to do is we're going to play all of these except the E string, 6th string. So it sounds like that. So if I put all that together, it will sound like this. And then here we go. And then here. And here. And we're just letting those ring out. That's all we have to do there. Then we come back again to the same kind of rhythm, but there's a little bit of a variation to the bridge rhythm this time. So we start off the same way. We go just like that. Then we're bringing ourselves back to this familiar power chord. So on the 2nd fret and the 4th frets with those fingers I described earlier. Here's what we're going to do this time. It starts off the same way. But this time we're going to add something a little bit interesting into it. We're going to be moving down one whole spot. So now to the 1st and 3rd fret. And let me show you how this is going to work. So it goes like this. So it's just like a really quick kind of upstrum kind of thing. Let me slow it down a little bit so you can get this. So it goes. All right. Now there's one time in particular in there where you hold out a little bit longer. That's what, again, makes the riff interesting sounding, is it's not the same every time. And at the end of that riff, we go back to this familiar, and up here again to this chord, followed by our last chord. And that pretty much sums up the bridge section. I know, sorry that was a little bit choppy, but if you keep playing along with it, you'll figure it out. It's actually not real hard. The hardest thing is just getting the timing of those power chord chugging. So that's today's video. I hope you liked it. If you did, leave a comment below or click the like button. And if you really liked it, you can subscribe. See you in the next video.